so glad that you're here. I'm curious because now, at least in Indiana, we've been in this spot for about 3 weeks. 3 weeks, Sam?
Yeah, I think I'm in week 4 now.
Okay, yeah. So I'm Lindsay Baccardo. That's Sam Avanzino, and Samantha is her real name, but I call her Sam. And we're here to be of service to you in maybe the hardest time of your life, maybe one of the top hardest times that you've lived in so far. And so I know you've probably been through other personal hardships and difficult things. And this one's really unique because we're expected to all act like everything's normal, and it's not. So studying from home or working from home, we're not really just doing like working remote. We're actually doing like working during a global pandemic where everybody's afraid they're going to get it. So it's a little bit different. And I want to talk to you today, certainly about what you can do to manage your stress and stay productive. But also, I want to talk to you about the human stress reaction, because that's part of what we're all managing right now. So we're going to talk about all that. This is going to be highly interactive. I'm watching Facebook and Instagram, so y'all chime in. I see that y'all are eating barbecue chicken. I hear you. I see you. So I'm so glad you're here. At the end, we're going to do a little virtual coaching. So if you want to stay and be coached, let Sam know in the chat. Y'all, at the end of this, Instagram and Facebook, feel free to be like, coach me. I want to join your call, because that's what we're all about. Sarah's here. Hey, Sarah. Sarah used to play in a band called Manglefish with me. She was a lead singer. So there's a lot of interesting folks on this call. But the virtual campus, 5 things you can do. Now, who the hell am I and why am I talking about this? This is what's going on. During normal life, before COVID, I was a career coach that helped people design careers they were excited about. And I worked inside of companies that I loved as a generational consultant, because as a millennial, boomers don't know what to do with us. And we feel like we're living the right way. And there's a lot of tension around how to do life and what to expect out of work. And so I end up being inside of companies I love here in Indy that are trying to make a difference in the world, trying to change, not just make a lot of money, but actually make a difference in the world, which I love. And sometimes I still get to coach, but not as much as I used to. So what I find over and over is that oftentimes there's patterns of how we deal with our stress. And I've studied these from a psychological perspective, but how we deal with our stress, how we think about our values, how we get work done. And I can see that even now there's a pattern playing out. So my job as a career coach and generational consultant tonight is to share with you the information I've gathered. And we've already probably done 6 or 8 of these webinars. So I'm so glad you're here tonight to gather important information. Just a little bit about me, if I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you. I'm so glad you're here. Your time is so valuable. I know it feels like we have a lot more right now, but what we have less of is energy. It's hard to have a lot of energy right now, isn't it? Because we're all under stress. So I want to just do a quick introduction so you know kind of my background. I'm from upstate New York. I went to Syracuse University. I'm an Orange man. And then as soon as I graduated, I sat my parents down and gave them the awesome news that I was going to use my degree to travel the world in a rock band. How do you think that went? But the real reason I did it was because I loved people and I loved connecting and I love events. And so music was this perfect kind of crosshair for me to connect with a ton of people, get to do what I love, and hear their stories. And that's what I found over and over, because we would play in prisons, we would play anywhere you'd let us, college campuses, underground pubs in Europe, anywhere we could go and play a show, we would do it in an open field. Seriously, we did a lot of those. But what I found after 6 years of traveling on the road was that what I loved more than anything was connecting with people. And I found that one of the things that actually drove me more than just hitting things with sticks was helping people figure out their life's purpose, because I believe that your career and how you decide to spend your waking hours really does shape your purpose and your destiny. So my job is to help everybody figure that out. And normally that's what I'd be doing. But now we're all sitting at home stressed out like crazy. So my job is to walk us through that part first. So a little bit about me. I think I put, this is just a picture. If you can't see the slide deck, my folks, just picture me doing what I do to prove that I do it. So my class is called Unleash My Career. I've been doing that with hundreds of clients for the last 6-7 years, and I feel really lucky to get to do it. And I'm going to we can definitely talk about career design during the Q&A session. I'd be happy to coach you in any way that I can. This is one of my favorite quotes. And I think for all of us, we feel the pressure of this right now, and we're going to talk about that. But this is my favorite quotes from Abraham Maslow. It says, if you plan on being anything less than you're capable of being, you will probably be unhappy all the days of your life. If you plan on being anything less than you're capable of being, you'll probably be unhappy all the days of your life. And Abraham Maslow was a psychologist who studied human behavior. He studied what motivated people. And we're going to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs in a minute. If you are a psychology 101er, you'll know about this. But what this means for me and what just drives in me is this. We're all sitting at home and we're trying to figure out, we're trying to make meaning of why we're here and what we're supposed to be doing with this time. Is anybody else, I just want to see in the chat, I'm going to open the chat right now. Has anybody else found themselves under the pressure, like all of a sudden I'm supposed to write a book, or I'm supposed to become an artist, or I'm supposed to like learn the skill I've been putting off? Anybody feel like they're getting this pressure to all of a sudden pick up a hobby or do something? Like, I have to do something with this time. I'm so curious to hear. Meanwhile, I'm going to read the snacks that everybody has brought to this webinar. At this webinar, we have Lucky Charms. Joseph, you're a lucky man. Brandon is eating a salad. Okay, Brandon, I'm just kidding. Pizza. Got lots of good food between the collective 50 of us. So this is what I'm hearing, though, from my Zoom participants. I'm asking, like, do you feel the pressure to be something, to create something, to make the most of this time? And one person said, I'm mad at myself for not reading novels stacked by my bed, right? Somebody else was like, definitely. I wish trying to balance a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old while keeping the fraternity moving was possible, right? Same. A lot of people are feeling that pressure, too. So all of us, pressure to apply for jobs before I'm graduating in June. Absolutely. College students, holy smokes. So we're all in this spot, because if I know on a Monday night, if you're choosing to be here, instead of like watching Netflix, you are feeling driven. You're feeling nervous. You're feeling maybe a little overwhelmed. You're probably a high achiever trying to figure out how to do exactly what Abraham Maslow said. How do I be my highest self right now? So here's the thing. I'm so glad you're here, because I'm going to help you cool down your nervous system so that you can get some things done and be productive. But also, more than anything, it's so important that you can take care of yourself over these next few weeks, few months. Part of the challenge here, and we have a talk tomorrow called I'm Not Designed for This Shit. And that's about how our nervous system is responding to this kind of drawn out situation. It's not a one and done shot. It's like every day we're still in it, which is very wearisome on your system. I'm wondering who else is having a hard time sleeping, maybe feeling rested in the morning. Real quick, I did promise that I would show my coworkers. Sam's obviously on with me, but this is Ember and Ollie. They have been amazing. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, you can see pictures of my dogs probably everywhere. But my pups now are so used to me being home that last night I went outside to have a fire in the fire pit. And Ember, the little gray one, was howling because I didn't let her out. So shout out to all the stay-at-home dogs. Okay, so here's what you might be experiencing right now as you're going through this. I know for me, most days my stomach feels like it's in a knot. I can feel the anxiety in my body. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed about what to do first, especially when you have all this work to do and you're supposed to be, getting it done, but you're also sitting at home and your pajamas are comfortable and you're feeling overwhelmed and you just want to hide, Maybe because there's no accountability around homework, you're kind of confused about what you're even supposed to be doing right now. Anybody feel like that? Isolation and loneliness. Isolation and loneliness is really scary right now. I'll tell you, in Indiana, we have a phone line called 211, and you can Google this. The news talked about this. So 211 is a place where you call if you're struggling with an addiction. Typically, Indiana gets 1,000 calls a day. You know how many calls they're getting a day right now? 25,000 calls. So isolation and loneliness, when you take humans and separate them out from others, we tend to find something else to be addicted to. And it could be anything. Sugar. I had 4 cookies tonight. Okay. I'm not going to call 211, but I did have 4 cookies. It could be alcohol. For sure, alcohol sales are up. And so you might be experiencing so much isolation and loneliness that you're trying to figure out how to manage it. And it would make sense. And based on what we're seeing happen in society, it makes sense that it might be with alcohol. So that's a big one. And then fear of the unknown. Has anybody else asked this question? When are we going to go back to normal? 1 minute, I'm like, okay, we just got to do this a little bit longer, right? And then the next minute, I'm like, oh, another 4 weeks. Oh, another 4 weeks. Okay, here we go. It's more than a time than I thought. It's more time than I thought. I know I'm feeling that way. So I'm wondering how often you're feeling that way too. So this idea that we don't know when things are going to finish, when we're going to be kind of through this is what will drive a human being crazy, because humans don't fear change. Change is part of life. We're all in it. But what we do fear is uncertainty. And that's all we're living in right now. So maybe you're experiencing that. I want to do a quick level of readiness for studying and going to school remote. So everybody on your hands, okay? You got 7 questions. If you can answer yes to this question, give yourself a point, okay? We're going to go through these together. Tell me at the end how many points you have. The first one, level of readiness for studying remote. I know exactly what assignments need to be done each day to finish on time. If you're like, dude, I know exactly what I got to do every single day to finish on time, give yourself a point. Here's the next one. I'm setting up a daily routine with regular breaks. Are you doing that for yourself? Give yourself another point if you are. The next one, I'm already resourceful when issues arise. If it was just true of you that you were a resourceful person before all this happened, give yourself a point. Number 4, I hold myself accountable. Oops, I skipped one. I'm already good at managing stress and overwhelm. Are you good at managing stress and overwhelm? If so, give yourself a point. You should have 4 points so far. Number 5, I hold myself accountable with schedules and I'm good at honoring my time. I hold myself accountable and I'm good at honoring my time and having a schedule. Most of us are not good at that. I'm like, yeah, I'm totally going to go to the gym at 8 o'clock. I'm like, yeah, maybe not, right? So that's 5. Number 6, I've taken online courses before. I feel confident in my motivation and clarity of how I do this. If you've done online courses, this might come easier to you. And number 7, I have the technology I need to run group projects and communicate with my team. So the most amount of points you could have right now is 7. How many points do you have? Share in the chat. How many points did you get based on this little quiz? We got a lot of 4s. Yep. How many? How many points we got? 3, 5, 4. Yep, 4, 3, 2, 6, yeah. So as you're figuring out how to add that in the chat, I want to tell you this. If you have 4 or less points, we find that that's the break point where you start to get really anxious and you probably weren't ready for this, which that's no judgment on you. I wasn't ready for this. My business definitely wasn't ready for this, right? So if you have 4 or less points, and even if you have different amount than that, just keep in mind for yourself, I wasn't ready for this. It's not like somebody gave you 2 weeks to be like, here it comes, it's going to happen, you're going to get ready, or a year of like, hey, you probably want to learn how to study remote. Most of us, we're kind of in denial, and then boom, we're out of school. So try not to beat yourself up and be okay, high achievers, that maybe you just weren't ready for this. That would make sense. So I want to know, when you think about this, because most of us weren't ready for it, what are you most concerned about? You've been doing this now for probably 3 or 4 weeks, maybe more. What is on the top of your mind? What stresses you out the most when you think about studying and having to do school from home? What's the most stressful? Is it that you're afraid you're going to get sick? That'd be fair. Is it that you're afraid you're going to get behind? That'd be okay too. Maybe it's that you're like, I was supposed to be getting a job right now and I just lost my first opportunity out the gate as a senior. I'm curious, what are you most concerned about at this point? I have to push myself to get projects done around the house. Totally being behind on lectures. Yeah. No motivation to do homework. Who would have motivation right now? Everything about your environment has changed. It makes perfect sense that you're like, I don't want to get anything done. Getting a job after graduating. Yeah, getting that job for your experience. That's huge. It makes sense. People are stressed about that. Yeah, Morgan said this really well. Afraid of getting family members sick. I've had those moments. And the fact that everything's up in the air, like when are we really going to get through this? That would make sense. And here's something that people are starting to say too, which one of my friends said, I'm not prepared for the transition back to normal life. Like, what? This isn't forever now. So as soon as I get used to this, we're going to switch back. What does that mean for me? We're all living in that in different ways. So check out everybody else's concerns, either on Facebook, on Instagram, or on Zoom, and you'll see that you're not alone. That every single person right now has their own unique challenge that they have to work through. And whatever you do, please don't talk yourself out like, I've got it easy, but so-and-so, that doesn't actually help. If you would take a moment and acknowledge what you're really concerned about, it will help you take better care of yourself. There's nothing worse. Like, imagine you were dating somebody and you're like, man, I'm really concerned about getting my family sick. And that person was like, there's somebody else that's got an even bigger problem than you. That's how we tend to talk to ourselves, isn't it? Like, well, Bill is already sick. How do you feel about that? Or there's bigger things to worry about than that. No, we don't talk ourselves out of it. And just acknowledge that we're all feeling it right now. So here's what I want to do. Just know that we're not going to do this perfectly. We're not going to work remote perfectly. And we're going to have to course correct as we go. We're going to have to figure it out as we go. And at this point, I would really encourage all of us, and I hope that you're listening to thought leaders who are telling you this, please choose compassion for yourself. Please choose compassion for yourself as we're living in this. It is long term. This is not something that you can push through and fight through and be on the other side of. We have no clue when this is really going to be over. So every day that you beat yourself up because you're not doing enough, or you make decisions that don't actually help your biology or help you emotionally move through this, it just compounds the pressure. So if we can choose compassion, like, man, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. This is a lot. Our basic needs are destabilized. I'm going to explain that in a minute. To the degree that you can show compassion and kindness to yourself, you'll have it to show to others, and you'll be able to move through this, because we're not going to move through it quick. So we can't just plow our way. I want to remind you of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you're not on the Zoom webinar right now, I want to encourage you, if you're not on the Zoom, to just Google Maslow's pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You'll see what we're talking about. Maslow is that researcher. I shared that quote with you in the beginning because he looked at humans in the 1940s and the 50s, and he studied them. And he figured out, he's like, what is actually motivating people? It's their needs. But at different stages in your life and in your socioeconomic stability, you are motivated by different things. So at the very bottom, like if you think about like a third world country, okay, or just downtown Indianapolis, where their parents aren't home and they don't have food. That's the type of situation we're talking about. For us, it could be too. It could be for you, for me. It's when I do actually go to the store. There was like no toilet paper. There was no meat. There was no, half the stuff I looked for was not there. This was a couple weeks ago and it was really bad. But we all have different circumstances where all of a sudden, when we're used to a normal cadence of life and things available to us, they're not. So your physiological needs, food, shelter, water, it's nerve-wracking to not have those, isn't it? If you're used to it. Now, every human, once their basic physiological needs are met, their curiosity kicks in and goes, what else is available to me? And the next layer up, humans look for their safety needs to be met, which includes health. So here we are, right? Trying to make sure that we're healthy. Does this sound like this would the average human during the COVID crisis is hitting the bottom of this pyramid? Doesn't matter how high up you were, there's a good chance that you're feeling it. Although I do think that white privilege makes it a little easier for people like me. I'll say it. But here's the thing. When you're living at the bottom of this pyramid, and then you hear people say like, don't give up. This is your chance to do something that changes the world. This is your chance. It's enough to get through this. That's what Maslow's pyramid is saying. It's going all the way up to self-actualization and saying like, I'm going to become my greatest self right now. I'm going to self-actualize. I'm going to build a new skill set and really turn a corner during this time. Some people will. Some people will be able to do that. They might have more of a fight stress response, and they might kind of keep themselves busy intellectually. For a lot of us, we're going to stay at the bottom of this pyramid And our brain is just going to worry about our food, shelter, water needs naturally and our safety needs. So if you find, I'll admit, if I can work about 4 hours a day, and I've been talking to leaders in Indianapolis, not like people that are kicking ass and taking names on a normal day. And they're like, ugh, I'm lucky, honestly, if I'm getting 4 hours of focused work done because my brain is so distracted and I'm so overwhelmed with the unknown. Everybody is feeling that way. So it's hard when I hear people say that they're going to climb Maslow's entire pyramid and self-actualize. I'm like, that's not really human. Some people might, but that's not really human. And that is a heavy burden to put on ourselves. It's enough for you to get through this time. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Here's another piece of this biological stress reaction that we're all in right now. It's called amygdala hijack. You can Google it and learn all about it. Daniel Goleman is the one that coined that phrase. And I'm going to give you a quick 101. Amygdala hijack is a phenomenon that happens when you see something out in the world that stresses you out. Since Tiger King is hot, let's say it's a tiger in your backyard. Say you see a tiger in your backyard. Your frontal lobe up here, this is the last part of our brain to develop. It's a part that finalizes and gets more solid about your mid-20s. So college students, this is a part of your brain that's still kind of filling in. It's where we do executive functioning. What we'd say is heavy problem-solving, planning, concentration, controlling our responses, having cognitive flexibility, having working memory. Those areas are the most evolved part of us. And when we see something that looks threatening, our brain takes resources away from our frontal lobe and puts it back on the amygdala, which is in the back of your head. And it's right by your brainstem. So we're talking like the food, shelter, water type thinking. Okay. Some people say it's that's part of your lizard brain. So when you're stressed, we all go into fight or flight mode, right? Which is similar to amygdala hijack, where all of a sudden it's hard to think straight. I'm curious. I'd like to hear from everybody who's having a hard time concentrating right now. Who's having a hard time making planning? Who's having trouble remembering? Anybody? Can you imagine trying to study right now and it's hard to remember? There's a lot of us that are saying me on the Zoom call. We are having a hard time because your brain, your entire system can't live under this fight or flight response. This is really good. Megan is totally honest. I'm getting short-tempered more frequently. I am 100%. Who's with Megan right now? Who's feeling short-tempered? Things that would normally not upset me, all of a sudden I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And it's I'll give you an example. My crock pot, right? You have the pot that comes out and then the thing that cooks it underneath, the metal thing. My metal thing got grease all in it and I was mad at the crock pot, right? We had cookies tonight, break and bake cookies. They're literally measured out. And someone in my family, I won't say who, was like, I want the thick cookies. And I was like, they're all the same. I just snapped. I'm like, they're literally measured out. They're all the same, right? I'm like, whoa, okay, Ricardo. They're just cookies, right? So you're probably feeling this too. Amygdala hijack, check it out. You're probably in it. I'd love to see, how often do you think you're in amygdala hijack? If you had to guess, how often are you struggling, percentage-wise, how often are you struggling, focusing, concentrating, being cognitively flexible? I'd love to hear from you. How often you think you're actually in that spot? So the reason that we start with talking about this instead of here are the 5 things you can do to be productive is because I have to I gotta stand on my soapbox and be like, this is not normal. This is not normal. You are under an extreme amount of stress. Give yourself an adequate amount of compassion. Your brain is having trouble processing this situation, okay? That's normal. So if you're I'm going to be amazing, I'm going to do so many things, just be like, you know what, actually, I'm just going to try not to be an amygdala hijack so much, and I'm going to just take care of my basic needs and remind my body that we're going to be okay together. That would be a really good use of your time. So some of you might be in this a lot. Some of you might not. We did a similar webinar last week with students, and it was about 50 to 60% of the time, people are like, yeah, I'm probably in amygdala hijack. I'm really struggling right now. So all that being said, I'm going to tell you the 5 things to help you get through the day, obviously, because I'm a life coach. But what I care about more is that you are compassionate toward yourself and that you take good care of yourself like you would your most precious beloved. How do you want to be treated? Do you want somebody being like, coming in and be like, hey, you're not getting enough done. Get to it. Or do you want somebody to be like, oh, you look stressed, honey. Do you want some tea? Here, have some tea. That's how we will have to learn to speak to ourselves through this. Our self-talk, more than ever, is going to dictate how difficult or easy this experience is. So the 5 things that are going to help you get through the day, and we're going to walk through what these actually look like, is to outline your schedule. Come here. My dog thinks I'm playing with her because I'm flailing my arms so much. It's to outline your schedule, manage your stress, over communicate. We're going to talk about what that actually means. Connect with your friends and move your body. So I want to talk through why these are important, because you're going to be like, yeah, no shit, these are important, but I want to talk to you about why they are. Outline your schedule. What has to be done in the next 2 months? Look at your schedule, especially if you've got a syllabus at school, and hopefully your professor's already metered that out for you. But we've got to all backtrack to plan out with some wiggle room in case you're not feeling good one day. Don't you want some wiggle room? Don't you want to stay a little ahead so that if you don't feel good one day, you can just be like, I can't do this today. Do not put pressure on yourself to perform up to the last minute. I used to do that all the time in college and it worked, but that's not when we were in a pandemic. So be kind to yourself. How much time will each assignment take you? Really, and give yourself like ×2, right? If it usually would take you 10 minutes, it'll probably take you 20. Give yourself some wiggle because of amygdala hijack. And then here's a question that you might have a little more flexibility now. What days of the week and times do you feel the most alert? When do you feel like most aware? That would be a good time to get work done. As much as you can take care. Can you guys hear my dog? Okay. Hey, sorry, I just broke my own PowerPoint. Oh, I just lost the joke. Okay. What days and times do you feel most alert? It's really important that for yourself that you are aware, like, I know for me, after about 3 o'clock, my brain starts to fizzle. So what do you need to do to get your work done when your brain is at its peak, especially right now? Chunk your time with light tasks. Don't try to nibble at everything a day. That's really hard to do. See what you can do to say, hey, like today, all I'm going to do is I'm going to work on my biology class, or all I'm going to do, I need to read Shakespeare. I'm just going to sit in the park by myself, 6 feet from everybody, and read Shakespeare. Try to chunk your tasks that are similar together. It doesn't wear your brain down as much. And here's the last one. Just do one task at a time. Do one task at a time for yourself. Turning off your notifications will be a gift to you, because every time we get interrupted, it usually takes our brain about 19 minutes to get back to what you were doing. So say you're emailing and then bing, 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 and you're like, oh, TikTok. And you're on TikTok for 20 minutes. When you come back, you're going to be like, what was I doing? It's going to take your brain 19 minutes to get back to the point. So as much as you can, give yourself solid times of non-interruption. Here's a great schedule that you can use. This is on my Instagram. You can just screenshot it. Here's a schedule for college students that works really well. Feel free to share this with friends. Feel free to do whatever you need. But I think this can be really helpful. And the reason that we do it this way is because I want to give you permission to take a break. If you wake up at 8 and you stretch, you move your body, you get breakfast by 9, it's going to take, I was with my clients today, well, on the phone. And we're like, how long does it actually take to wake up? And, on the call is like, it takes about an hour. It takes an hour to warm your brain up. I can't just jump in. I can't sometimes we're rolling out of bed right now and then jumping on Zoom calls or whatever. Give yourself a little wiggle to wake up. Then you can study for 2 hours, 9 to 11. Then at 11 o'clock, you can get up and move, connect with somebody, get on your phone, FaceTime somebody, have lunch, study again for 2 hours, just 2-hour chunks. We're not trying to kill it here. Move again, get a snack, connect again with a real human, even if it's quick. You could take some time to study and then connect. So every time we're not sitting for more than 2 hours, it'll help you because our concentration is a little shot right now. At the end of the day, this is a game of focus. This is what we're dealing with. We have to be able to focus right now. Here's a second one. Manage your stress and your overwhelm. will you look at this feelings wheel? You can always go to my Instagram to see my feelings wheel too, but look at this feelings wheel. You'll probably start in the center and say like, the main thing I'm feeling is like fear. Okay, say you're in that fear quadrant. Bump one more out. Which one of these is it? Is it that you're humiliated, rejected, submissive, insecure, anxious, or scared? Say you're anxious, then be like, okay, am I actually worried or overwhelmed? This feelings wheel is designed for you to start at the center and think of like the big emotion and then break it into the exact word that you're feeling. Will you tell me what exact word on the very outside are you feeling tonight on this call? I'm really curious. And the reason I'm having us do this exercise is to help us get out of amygdala hijack. If you can label your emotions, you pull back your executive functioning, you pull back the logic part of your brain, it helps your brain calm down. So what exact feeling are you in? Overwhelm is a big one. That's been a big one. Overwhelm's been a big one for a while. Stressed, isolated, yes. A lot of us are feeling isolated, stressed, and overwhelmed. And it makes sense, doesn't it? All of a sudden, that's my dog. She just scared me. Come here. Come here. Are you feeling ignored? Well, come here. No, you cannot go out there. Hold on. You guys are all going to meet my dog. This was unexpected. All right. She needs some attention. Here she is. Okay. We are all, the way that all these humans are being treated right now is very similar to how you punish a human. You know what we do? We all of a sudden, we isolate them. We don't give them the things that they're used to. So it makes sense. And some of you are sad too because your classes aren't happening, right? It's really hard to move through all that and to stay positive. That makes sense. Say hi to everybody. This is Ollie. We found her in the street. My friend found her on the street after a hurricane. She's an awesome dog. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, because a lot of you are saying that, here's a couple things you can do. They're really simple, but they're super helpful. You can, it's hard to work from home when your kids are here, You can drink a glass of water, call a classmate, go on a walk, let your brain settle for a couple minutes. Give yourself a break. Trust that you will figure it out. You will figure this out. This won't always feel this way. Be kind in your self-talk. I just spent the first 20 minutes at the risk of losing attendees because I wouldn't tell you these tics and these tricks and tips. I just spent all that time telling you to be kind to yourself. So please do it. And write a to-do list. If your brain gets jumbly, just write down everything that's on your mind. Get it out of your brain. Your working memory can hold about 6 items at a time. And that's on a good day, not on a COVID day. Ultimately, know that it is normal to not feel confident because we're all doing something that we've never done before that was thrown on us. So it'd be natural to not know how to do it or to feel really good about it. My dog is watching birds fly around out there. Okay. So what's one thing you'll do when you feel overwhelmed? I just gave you a list. What's one thing? Sorry, I'm trying to get this to go backwards. What's one thing? Here's a list. What's one thing that you could do when you are overwhelmed? What's something you commit to? Mine is drink a glass of water. Samantha has seen me do that when I've been stressed. Sometimes I go on a walk. What's something you'll do? Yeah, go on a walk. Make a quick list for yourself. That can make a huge difference too. Just like, oh, why am I so stressed out? Let me just get it all down on a piece of paper, right? What else? Got a lot of lists and going for walks. Get out and get that fresh air. That can be really helpful. Walking your dogs. If you have a pet, you have a doggy or a cat or a camel or a lizard, whatever you are, a tiger, spending time just petting your animal and observing them. Like, I'll just sit and look at my dogs. It helps me calm down because they only live in the moment. They're not thinking about everything, right? One thing that I like doing every day that's this kind of a meditation is going out and looking at the trees that are budding, and every day they look different. It's wild how quickly everything can change. One person wrote yoga, fantastic. Okay, so we've shared that in our chat. And now I want to share the third piece. We've talked about outlining your schedule, and I gave you an example that you can use. Just study 2 hours at a time. Don't kill yourself here. Manage your stress and overwhelm by labeling your feelings and then over communicating. There are channels that we're all on right now that we are using because our school's asking us to or our workplace is asking us to. How can you make those easy to access? If you're struggling with the tech that people are asking you to use, this is going to be really hard. The other week, Samantha asked me to like, are we using this piece of tech? And I was like, dude, I'm so overwhelmed. I can't even manage it right now. So when we think about communication, because we can't check in person, all of a sudden technology matters a lot more, doesn't it? So make sure that you feel comfortable with it. Think about every week, I'm creating a cadence with my clients, with the CEOs and presidents of companies that I work with. One thing we're doing is creating a cadence. So when do you want to check in? When can we do that where that's nice? Is it once a week? Is it on Mondays? Sam and I get together I keep saying get together, but you know what I mean. We FaceTime every morning at 9:30. So who do you need to get on a regular schedule with? We've got professors, maybe you have classmates, maybe you have a group project. What a time to have a group project, huh? That needs to get done. Maybe you have some other organizational leaders that you need to meet with. Maybe if you're in a fraternity or sorority, make sure that you're putting a cadence in place because that's how the world works outside of COVID time. It would be normal to have a cadence like every Sunday night, our sorority gets together, right? Sunday nights are very common for that. So where can you put a cadence in place so that you make sure that you're seeing your people? I bet if you were to ask Samantha, at first it felt a little bit like, wow, we're going to call each other several times a day. But we used to co-work all day together. So yeah, it would be natural to call and talk several times a day. If there's people you study with, just get on Facebook or not Facebook, get on FaceTime and do a group Zoom and just hang out in the Zoom together. For each of your classes, here's my tip-a-rooney. For each of your classes, think of somebody that you like to talk to, that makes you feel good, and ask for a weekly catch-up meeting with them. So, hey, can we meet if I just give you a buzz on Thursday mornings, could we just talk about how much you've gotten done, what's left? This is going to help you feel motivated and give you an idea if you're on track too. So that's what it means to over communicate. You're going to be doing a lot more reach outs than you're used to. So you've got outline your schedule, which I have the example in my Instagram, and I'll send you this whole deck. You can have it. Just email me. Manage your stress and overwhelm. Over communicate. Socialize and connect. This is so important. I want to talk to you about this. In the wild, human beings, when there's not a virus circling the world, humans like to be together. We are pack animals. We are made to be together. And this is where you'd usually find us, right? At a concert, we're all up in each other's business. We're a lot like every other pack animal you can think of. When I used to work in prisons, when I did prison ministry, we would talk about how inhumane solitary confinement was and how much people dreaded solitary confinement. You know what happens if you put somebody by themselves alone? You know what happens to that person? Their brain starts to hallucinate. Because we're such social creatures, our brains are, she's a social creature too. She's a sad puppy. I don't know why she's really showing off tonight. Okay, our brains hallucinate and create stories so that we come out of social confinement, isolation, we don't know what's true in reality anymore. So if you're single and you're living by yourself, I think you've got it tougher. We joke, I have kids, I'm living with kids, so it's not always fun, but I'll tell you, it would be much harder to be completely alone. Solitary confinement is way worse. If you are dealing with solitary confinement, you don't have anybody to turn to, come talk to me. We will create a cadence for everyone that's single that needs connection. We're going to create it together. I have a plan, so just ping me after. It can also look like this. Do quick FaceTimes with loved ones. 5 minutes, guys. You don't have to do it for 30. Just quick, hey, how's everybody doing? Give yourself a permission slip to reach out. If you tend to be the shy one and you wait for everybody else to reach out to you, everybody's waiting for you too. If you got a teen, you can reach in and check on their well-being. How's everybody doing? Send them the feelings wheel. Say this cheesy life coach told me to use this feelings wheel, so I'm just wondering where's everybody at. You can send obviously funny videos. I like to get my dogs in here as much as possible. Even an Amazon Prime, a gift. If you're comfortable with using Amazon Prime. Some people aren't. But the other thing you can do is your favorite local restaurant is probably selling gift cards right now. The best way you can keep them in business is buy a gift card, send it to your buddy. Send it to your friend, let them know you're thinking of them. Ultimately, as you're socializing and connecting, we have to do that because we're social creatures. Also make sure, again, that you check in on yourself. If you're feeling lonely, you will have to build this self-muscle, this self-care muscle of, I am feeling lonely, I'm getting weird. Reach out to somebody and just say, I'm getting weird, I need somebody to talk to. This is the time to do that. So we've talked about outlining your schedule. We've talked about managing your stress and overwhelm. We've talked about over-communicating, right? Getting in a cadence with your professors, your classmates, your sisters and your brothers in your fraternity, sorority. Socialize and connect, which we all need because we are social creatures. And then move your body. Here's why. I'm not just saying this because like, here's my chance for a six-pack. I don't care about that. I'm not going to end up with a six-pack. But I do know that women that sit for more than 7+ hours a day in this study in Australia, your ankles are really bony. Okay. Women who sit for 7 hours a day and did no physical activity at all were 3 times as likely to develop depression. I am mostly worried about our emotional well-being through this. Is anybody else thinking about that? I'm having days where I'm like, I'm feeling kind of dark right now. So one of the keys, and I remember this from my aging and dying class at Syracuse University, was one of the keys to emotional health is exercise. So if you can sit for 4 or less hours a day, get a stand-up desk if you can, and then just do basic exercise guidelines. I literally mean take a 30-minute walk a day. I'm not saying like it's time to do the marathon, just a 30-minute walk a day. You will be much less likely to develop depression. If you're struggling or you're worried about your emotional and mental well-being, I wouldn't be surprised because a lot of us are. Move. Low to moderate exercise also lowers your cortisol, which is a stress hormone in your body. And cortisol, this stress hormone, turns your immune system off. So we don't want you being too stressed because when we're too stressed, we're more susceptible to illness. Which I don't need to say more about that. So I'm so curious. We shared a lot today. I want to know from you, from Instagram, from Facebook, from Zoom. I want to know, what behavior can you easily adapt? I have dog hair in my mouth. What can you easily adapt today to take better care of yourself? Some of us, we will make this time, somehow we'll spin shit into gold and make something amazing. But most of us, we're just going to get through this, aren't we? Yeah. So what can you easily adapt? What behaviors can you easily adapt to take care of yourself? I want to know. We're going to check the chat. Reaching out to friends, please do that. Walk, move your body. Yes. Take a walk. If you can call your friends while you walk, double points. 2 at the same time, right? Communicate more. Olivia, you're right on. We all are I am making so many more phone calls, and as a millennial, I don't want to do a phone call. I want to send an email, I want to send a text, or like hang out with me in person. Well, that's not an option. So phone calls it is. Turn off notifications if you don't need them. Yep. Be kind to yourself. Set aside a scheduled time. Break up your day. Please break up your day. Don't get into that weird thing where you work so long that you forget how to talk to humans. We've all done it, right? Here's one that I think I forgot to mention, but please be mindful of what you watch. If you are like, I can get kind of like news junkie. Like I wake up and I'm like, Twitter, Instagram. I'm like, I don't go to like a local news source, but I go to all the people I follow. And I've noticed that after about 5 minutes, you know what you know. Corona's getting worse, newsflash, right? And the longer that I dig and go on rabbit trails, the more stressed out and hopeless I get. So it's so important right now that we build a life team of people that can support us in this process and take care of us, and that we can take care of too. So make sure that you're thinking about who you let in. Who visually do you let into your brain? Who are you listening to? this is just me. I love the podcast, My Favorite Murder. It is my favorite. The comedians that are on it are like my favorite. They're hilarious. And for whatever reason, during this time, I'm having a harder time wanting to hear about murder cases. I just can't handle it, right? So do whatever you need to do. I love this. Video chats with friends. Much better. Do what you can to take care of yourself. Productivity and stress are linked because we all have this thing called a stress threshold, which means you need a little bit of stress to want to do anything, don't we? But ultimately, you can only handle so much stress until your productivity and creativity start to drop. So, part of it is like, if I was like, hey, you're a musician. I was like, you got to write a song in the next month. You might be like, yeah, that's exciting. All right. But then some of us, that might be too much. It might stress us out. So you've got to know, how much stress can I handle? Today, truthfully, all day, I was about an 8 out of 10. Very stressful day. Internet went down. Didn't know if I'd be able to do this today. Sam heard all about it before we got on. So there's times I got to take care of myself and breathe and calm myself down. But we're all, every day, give yourself a chance to start over, to know that not every day is going to be exactly the same. Every hour, just move through every hour, taking care of yourself. That will make a huge difference. What did we learn from this webinar? Take care of ourselves. Keep our stress as low as possible. That's how you'll even stay productive in the first place. If you're as stressed as I was today, every day, you're not getting much done. So we've got to take good care of ourselves if we want to be productive. Excuse me, I'm talking on a webinar right now. Here's the last piece, and I say this as a career coach, somebody who helps college students get the jobs they want. This experience might suck for you. If you're a senior and you've been working your tail off and you were looking forward to everything that comes with being a senior and it just got taken from you, I'm so sad with you. That would be such a huge heartbreak and bummer, disappointing. That's just true. So you might be living in the this sucks place right now. And know that at the same time, you are learning tools that will help you in your career. Can you get down? Can you get down? Thank you. Okay, is it your turn? Know that, how many dogs are in that room? Know that you are learning skills and tools that will help you further in your career. Project management is a big one. Right now, you're having to time out how you spend your energy, right? You're having to really plan more than usual about, okay, when am I going to read? When am I going to write? When am I going to produce? When am I connecting with my team? So project management is an awesome skill to be learning right now, along with self-advocacy. Self-advocacy is one, the self-awareness to know what you need. And the second piece is not just that you know what you need, it's that you actually speak up and get it for yourself. Self-advocacy is one of the top professional skills that I teach young professionals, because we usually we kind of want people to take care of us. And everyone is so in their own world right now that no one's really doing an awesome job taking care of other people. We have to self-advocate. And that might, for you, that might look like with your sisters, your sorority sisters, or your professor saying like, hey, I'm really confused about this. I need 15 minutes of your time to figure it out. That'd be great self-advocacy. Along with that self-awareness, our relationships with ourselves have never been on the main stage like they are right now. There is nothing to distract us, right? We are all learning what we do to cope. We are all learning how kind or how mean we are to ourselves. Our self-awareness, our ability to watch ourselves, be mindful of how we're behaving, how we're treating people, how we're feeling. This is forcing us to practice this skill. And then the last one is communication. We don't get the daily touch points with people. Like when we run into people and see them, we have to be really assertive and communicate clearly. So these skills, I know they're not fun to learn right now, and know that they will serve you in the future, in your future career. You are learning valuable skills, even though this is horrible right now. So I want to hear from you. What's one thing that you learned today that you're going to do differently moving forward? Let's share one thing that you learned today that you're going to do differently moving forward. I want to give you my cell phone. Here's my cell. There's my email. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Let's see how I can be helpful to you. Instagram, we can connect on Instagram too. I want to hear what's one thing that you're going to do different. I'm excited to hear. What's one thing that you can do different for yourself today? based on what we've talked about. Take time for myself and care of myself first. Yes, we will have to do that. More breaks, please. Focus on one thing at a time. Yes. Turning off notifications. Exactly. Calendar and time to walk. Yes. Begin to get stressed. When I begin to get stressed, distract myself. Yep. Connect with friends and start moving more. I'm telling you, I'm not saying, look, I hate running. Okay. I've got a bum knee. I can't run. But so I'm not like, this is our chance. I'm doing a marathon commercial at the end. Truly though, the more you can move, the better you will feel. Yes. Okay. Everyone on here, Kaylee said it best. Do not feel like I have to constantly be productive. After this webinar, I give every single person permission to not be productive. Go chill out. You need time to calm down. We shouldn't even be in front of our screens the last 2 hours before we go to bed. I'm not saying I'm great at that at all. I'm just saying we need downtime. Okay, this is a big one. Thank you, Derek. I realize that when I'm unmotivated, I shouldn't be mad at myself. I just need to take a break or do something fun. I'm literally like, all my phones are being used, but I want to write that down. Sam, write down Derek's comment because it's so important. Derek, such a good point. I realize that when I'm unmotivated, I shouldn't be mad at myself. I was just talking to a client this morning. If you're feeling that way and you're typically a high achiever, it's more exactly what Derek said. I'm stressed out. I need a break. You are a motivated person. You just sat on a freaking Zoom call at night. Do your very best to take care of yourself and realize, like, if I'm not doing well, it's probably because my brain is hijacked. I'm overwhelmed. I don't have to be mad. Claire said, can you make an infographic so I can see? Share this with my students who need to hear this. Yes, Claire Smith. Hey, Sam, will you make a note? We'll talk about that first thing tomorrow morning. Yep. Okay, awesome. I'm so glad when you aren't being productive. And Sam, her and I have talked about this. Look, we're both driven people. We work for ourselves, so we only eat what we kill. That's what they call it in the entrepreneur world. So we have every reason to be motivated to do a lot of good things. And we still have moments where we're both like stuck. Right, Sammy?
Totally.
We will make an infographic. Claire, will you shoot me an email so I can get that infographic directly to you? It's a great idea. We'll make it happen. I've got my little sheet of things I'm working on. Look at this. See? I got to write stuff down too.
Lindsay, okay. I can also share with everyone who's on the call the link to tomorrow's webinar if you would like.
Okay. That's awesome. Can you put that in the chat real quick?
Yep.
This is going to be super helpful. If you have students who are like, Sam just posted it. If you have students who are like, I'm so stressed, like every high achiever is, right? Look, if you're a high achiever, you're not like, yeah, I have time to get good at World of Warcraft. You're like, I'm so stressed out. Please come to this meeting. I love that you said that, Joseph. We will get you something. Okay, I love that. And Claire too. Copy and paste those like 5 last comments, Sam.
Yep, I got it.
Perfect. Camellia, you can get right on. We just put up the Zoom link. You are welcome to join tomorrow's webinar. It's called My Brain Isn't Designed for This Shit. And it's gonna be exactly about this thing of like, if I'm not being productive, it's not because I'm a horrible person. It's because I'm overwhelmed. My brain is toasted.
Yes, we're super, super excited since it's going to be more like the neuroscience and human development. I'm super pumped to hear from Ann Betts. It's going to be awesome.
Ann Betts has written a whole book about neuroscience and how to work through, how to use your brain to your advantage. So it's going to be awesome. Okay, I'd love to, I know I got to wrap up this on Instagram. It's not going to let me go live anymore. Hannah, we'll make a note. People are asking how to sign up. I'm going to put it on Instagram right after this. So we'll put it on will you remind me, Sam, to put it on my thing? So, I have 9 seconds left on Instagram Live. Love you guys. Mwah. I will send you the link. Bye. We'll make sure to do that for her. But what I would love to do is coach anybody that wants some live coaching right now. If there's anybody who's like, I'm feeling really stuck, or I have a issue that feels insurmountable. This is what I do for a living. I help walk people through and find solutions to their issues. So if you are in a spot, I don't care what it is, I am happy to pull you on. You're going to have to be willing to come on video with me. So if you're up for coming on video, I will coach you right here, right now. I'm all warmed up. I'm just putting a note, put link on IG. If they want to come on, how should they do it, Sam? Should they just say it in the chat?
Yeah, that's perfect.
If you want to come on, just put in the chat. I'd love to come on. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm so glad you were here. There's a million ways to find me. I'm everywhere all the time. Brandon, are you wanting to come on? Or did I just see your face pop up? Okay, cool. Camellia, I'm so glad this was helpful. You guys are so welcome. Let's stay connected. You know where to find me. I'm on every, I'm not on TikTok yet. That's my bad. But you find me on Instagram.
You would do a fantastic TikTok.
I really am missing the boat on the TikTok piece. But you know what? I'm not putting the pressure on myself to do everything right now. I'm so glad you all were here. We're going to have even more fun tomorrow with one of my people, Ann Betts. She's my coach. She's phenomenal. She's an awesome speaker. She's an author. She's going to be so great to have on. So I'm so glad you were here. If anybody wants coaching, I'm going to keep it open for another minute or two. And then we're going to say goodnight and go drink some more tea. Does anybody want to chat? I'm happy to coach you as we are here together.
You just answered all their questions in the last hour, so they're solid now.
I love it. Everybody's solid and ready to go. I've got a couple private messages I will make sure to get to you. Thank you, everybody, so much for being a part of this. You will continue to see us. Brandon, we will see you tomorrow night. So glad you were here. We're going to keep moving forward together as a team. So we'll see you soon. Let's stay connected. Bye, everybody.